Hello and welcome to our overview of inclusionary practices for the Centralia School District. Together with the demonstration sites at the University of Washington's Herring Center for Inclusive Education, Centralia will be highlighting 3 different schools within their district, sharing each school's journey to developing stronger inclusionary practices with a concentration on reducing restraint and eliminating isolation. But before we begin our presentation today, I'd like to start with a land acknowledgement. The University of Washington acknowledges that we exist on the lands and the waters of the first people of Seattle, the Lushootseed-speaking peoples, the Duwamish and Coast Salish people. We honor with gratitude the land itself and the many Indigenous people who still thrive in this place, alive and strong. We'd also like to give a little bit of context to our partnership. The University of Washington's Herring Center is contracted by OSPI and is a member of the Inclusionary Practices Technical Assistance Network, or IPTN. The IPTN is an intentional collective of technical assistance and support providers working together in partnership with OSPI and West Ed to increase inclusionary practices across Washington State. The IPTN envisions a future where every student in Washington State has improved access to rigorous and standards-based instruction and improved post-secondary outcomes based on their strengths, preferences, goals, and needs. The IPTN works to disrupt segregated systems and reduce exclusionary practices in Washington State schools. Its focus is on addressing the inequities to improve outcomes for all students, with a particular focus on those with intellectual and developmental disabilities and Black students eligible for special education services. Since its launch in 2019, originally as the Inclusionary Practices Project, or IPP, the IPTN has evolved to address systemic barriers that exclude these student groups from general education. State data continue to reveal inequities, with these students disproportionately excluded from inclusive settings. The UW Herring Center's work within the IPTN is committed to reducing restraint and isolation, expanding inclusive learning opportunities, and promoting inclusive and equitable educational environments statewide. The demonstration sites at the UW Herring Center for Inclusion continue to focus on highlighting inclusionary practices through partnerships with districts and featured schools, who graciously share their journey and invite visitors for transformational visit experiences. Although all of our demonstration site partners feature inclusionary practices, we now have 2 categories of demo sites. The first is the continuation of the inclusionary practices, or IP demo sites. And in the spring of 2023, we were pleased to welcome districts and sites highlighting practices to reduce restraint and eliminate isolation, or our RREI demo sites. Each demo site is on their own journey. Thus, high-leverage moves align to individual school cultures and priorities. And for schools to have lasting impacts, district scale and sustainability are critical. I want to now introduce Tammy Jensen-Tabor and her Centralia School District colleagues, who are going to talk a little bit more about the district scale work that they've done in creating cultures of belonging and reducing restraint and isolation. Tammy?
Thank you. We are so excited in Centralia to be chosen as a demonstration site. I think that it's important, and you'll hear more later in this video from the principals that are doing the work in the buildings. But I want to highlight Dr. Lisa Grant, who has been leading this work for our school district. She is a former special education teacher and administrator, and her heart is with special education. She leads strongly with Dr. Jeff Broom, who is our teaching and learning individual. And you'll also hear today from Adam Moline, our BCBA. And you're hearing from me and Julie Athens, our ed specialist in special services. You will be hearing highlights today with more in-depth information as we go through the slides from the buildings. I think that it's really important to highlight our vision and our mission. We live these every day when you come to visit. If you get to come and visit, you will see that this has come to life. We really do believe that all students achieve academic and personal excellence, and we do that through prioritizing students, upholding high expectations, Championing hope, I think, is a huge one in our world, and then cultivating collaboration. Many of you know the James Clear atomic habits. So 1% better every day is what we live with, and a minimum of 1 year's growth in 1 year's time. And we do that very intentional work by making sure that students stay in their seats and can be involved in education, and that helps us with them if their behavior is improving, they're learning. So wanted to just make sure that we highlight that work. Now I'm going to give you just a little brief demographics of our school district. We're a fairly small school district, about 3,200 kids, 565 with IEPs. We have developmental preschool, one of them, 5 elementary schools, a middle, comprehensive high, alternative high, and then a virtual academy for 9 through 12, which you will see special ed students in all of these places. So then I just want to talk a little bit in the next slide about how multi-tiered systems of support is just a key pillar for our work. Coming out of COVID, we knew that we had to do a reset in our MTSS program. Dr. Howie Knopf came on site and started a training with district leadership as well as building teacher leadership around what MTSS was, how it's going to work in terms of supporting students academically and behaviorally. You can see that, and I have to say a shout out to the RREI project that we were able to send so many staff across the district. Every building was represented going to the MTSS conference in Spokane this last summer. We also, just as part of all this work, everything comes together. Our social emotional learning, we have Character Strong as an adoption. We also have School Connect at our secondary schools. But also when students are brought to our student study teams as part of our MTSS process, the RREI grant was able to allowed us to buy these behavior intervention and learning intervention manuals, which are referenced when we're looking at how to support students. It's just so critical that we are looking at students in a holistic way, and the MTSS process is really helping us do that. And I'll hand this off to Julie.
This one's me. I'm just going to highlight a couple of the different professional developments that we've gone over. It's a lot more than just this over the last couple of years, but really focusing on everything from mental health to behavior and verbal de-escalation for as many staff who are willing to come. Also doing a couple creative ones where we offer a lot of different choices where staff can come to maybe 4 of any 10 different topics that they'd like to hear about. So they're not hearing about topics that they've been trained on a lot, and they can really tailor what they're interested in too. And also to say that we sometimes look internally and sometimes look externally. So school districts like Rochester have come to help do trainings on co-regulation and regulation. We've looked to our Cascade mental health outside providers in our community to do some trainings on mental health. Our motor specialists just did a great training on breathing, posture, and sensory strategies for a bunch of our different staff. So this has been one of those crucial pieces of instruction and training to make sure that we've got the skills when we actually are needing to use them. When it comes to these trainings, I think it's crucial to have some kind of social validity or kind of feedback metrics, so then we know where staff are feeling confident and not confident. I know of a lot of teachers who are kind of done hearing about the importance of relationships, and even if it's crucial, maybe that's just something we talk about briefly and then move on. But clearly de-escalation was something that our staff were asking for more of. So that was something that we really tried to do more training on, and we use their feedback whenever possible to have more opportunities for tailored trainings.
I think it's important to note in a district our size that we are able to bring together, our every school district has to have a discipline committee, but now it's been blended together with a group of people that started last year in special education and then general education to talk about behavior. So behavior and discipline committee has come together. It represents everyone from our union folks to administrators. Transportation have people that come to the table. educational assistants, our behavior specialists, because the work is all of our work. And so I think it's important to note that we are quarterly sitting in a room looking at data, talking about these, the issues for students and how to help them. And Adam, I'll turn more over to you.
Yeah, and I know it's a bit of a platitude to say it takes a village, but it's one of those things that is incredibly crucial as I'm getting more comfortable working in schools. I love to see things like this where we have a bunch of people from diverse backgrounds and different components of the school system coming together to talk about behavior and discipline. And just a few things that this committee has worked on, which I think have been great, are improving the teacher referral systems so then we have better and more accurate data, and then improving our data systems to look at patterns in our behavior data. And then a lot of the times little conversations about where we need to improve our systems or additional training topics come up in these trainings as well. So this has been a great combining of committees.